everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pop Culture at Home with me, Anna Rumor, and our very special guest, Jonathan Knight. You might know him from New Kids on the Block, but he's out here saving New England farmhouses on his new show, Farmhouse Fixer, for HGTV. It premieres March 3rd at 9 p.m., and we can't wait to watch it. So thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
So you have an extensive renovation background. How did you even get into that?
You know what? It's in my blood. Like my grandfather, my uncles, my dad, they all loved home renovations and were like very handy. So, you know, just as a young kid, it's just always been around me and something that I could always jump in and help them out with. So yes, definitely runs deep in my veins.
Yeah. Well, and what is it about farmhouses in particular that draws you to them? I think they're stunning, but what is it for you?
When I first started my home renovation business, we were doing a lot of condos and like subdivisions, and to me, it just didn't feel right. Like I grew up in an old house when I was, 20 and bought my own first house. It was an old house. Old house on a farm, actually, my first house. I don't know. I love old houses. I hate the city. So
Yeah.
when I was 20, that was when I was like moved out of the city and moved to a farm and got every animal imaginable and just really loved it. It's to me, it's just being outdoors and being with nature and being with the animals. It's such a Zen moment. It's so relaxing. So
absolutely.
I recommend everybody move to the country.
We're working on it out here. Well, and I feel like the houses have so much character, especially the old ones that you're looking into. Does that go in? How does that go into, the renovations that you're making and keeping that character, but making them not falling over?
Yeah. I think kitchens and bathrooms are a big thing in old houses that get updated. And it's fine. It's there's things in houses that you definitely don't want to touch, like the staircases and the woodwork, and what in places where we have to rip out the old woodwork, we'll have it milled exactly to match what was there. It's a delicate balance to make it work and still feel like cozy and old.
Yeah.
And I just think there's like even quirky things in old houses that's always fun, that you have to find a way to work that quirkiness into the design and keep it nice.
Was there any particularly quirky thing that you can think of off the top of your head during filming that you were like, oh my gosh, we gotta hang on to this?
No, I'm like, well,
You brought it up, no.
the pilot, we found a well in the basement of this house, and
oh, fun.
we were trying to figure a way how to keep it, but we couldn't. And it was just so weird that there was like a well in somebody's basement that was probably like 50 feet deep. We were like, how can we rebuild it and build the kitchen over it, and then you could just like lower the bucket? But the foundation on that house was just way too bad that we just had to scrap that idea.
Yeah.
I think old houses, the quirkiness too is just like the layouts and small closets. There's a lot of quirks in an old house.
Well, and what are some of the biggest issues that you come up against when you're restoring these houses? Any common offenders?
Yes, and it's so funny that people don't think about what's behind their walls. So anytime you do a renovation, if there's like old wiring, a lot of times there's lead pipes, and people don't think like, okay, now I have to repipe everything from the kitchen sink all the way back to the sewer drain. And, to get into the walls and do that without disturbing everything. It gets expensive, and I think it's always the stuff behind the walls that get people.
The stuff that's hiding, basically.
Yeah, that you don't even think about, but it's like it has to be brought up to code. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and was there anything in particular that on the season you were like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to handle this?
on this one, no. I mean, for every problem, there's a solution. It's just you have to sometimes you just have to be a little more creative to make it work.
Yeah. What was the most kind of creative, fun part of filming this show altogether?
There was a there's a lot of creative stuff. You're just gonna have to watch and see.
Ooh.
You know, it's all creative. I mean, I think that's really why I love doing it. It's to me, it's like it's an art.
Mhm. That's awesome. Do you hope that this will kind of inspire other people to embrace these homes instead of tearing them down or replacing them altogether with something modern?
Yes. I mean, I know I drive up and down the roads around my house and I see, these big farms that they're now subdivisions, and then the old house is just sitting there still falling down while all these brand new houses are around it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just, we really have to preserve the past in our architecture. I think too many people just, new is better in their mind,
Mhm.
and 95% of the time that's not true.
Yeah, well, and I feel like these houses have good bones to them. Would you say where
Yes.
you can build around them and they're built more solidly than even things that are built today.
Yeah, I say houses built today in 200 years, they'll probably be falling down and caved in. Where my neighborhood up here, we have houses that were built in the 1600s, and they're still
Wow,
standing strong.
that's awesome. Well, and when you complete a renovation, do you take one moment to be like, "Wow, this is amazing," or are you immediately on to the next project?
No, I mean, we actually mourn the loss of the properties because we're there so much. We're there every day, and then
Mhm.
it all comes together, and we'll spend a couple last days doing touch ups, and it's so it's just so it's so nice to see what it was and then what it became.
Mhm.
And I think that's been my biggest joy with working with clients, is that, the beginning of the process, they pack up and they move out, and they have
Mhm.
no idea what's going to happen. Um, while we're doing the renovations, you kind of see it being built on, and you see it. So you
Mhm.
get used to it and know how it feels. But I can't imagine a homeowner just walking out of their house and then 16 weeks later coming back to a totally different house.
Yeah, that's got to be a pretty amazing surprise. I mean, what kind of reactions have you gotten?
People, they love it. They love it. I
Mhm.
mean, I've cried probably every single episode with the homeowners.
Mhm.
It's just it really, a renovation can change somebody's life. It just
Mhm.
how they feel, and it's such a good feeling.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything that you want to tell people who are getting ready to tune in, who are super excited before I let you go?
um yes, save old houses. That's
Yes.
and, and tune in.
I'm super excited. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you for having me.
We're looking forward to the premiere at Farmhouse Fixer. It's March 3rd at 9 and on HGTV. So stick with us here at Pop Culture at Home for more of your favorite stars too.